All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the Royal We live on a Monday night here. We should be starting here any moment. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm adjusting the camera there. And happy Monday. This is the Royal We live tonight. We're going to be talking about narcissistic abuse, taking live telephone calls, helping people to heal and understand the toxic relationship that they are that they're wrapped up in. And it says that we are live. However, I do not see anybody coming through at the current moment. And so I want to make sure that it is working. Looks like there's one watching right now, but I'm not seeing anybody come through here. Somebody say hi, in case there's somebody there. Hello, hello, hello. There they are. Good evening from Utah. Hi, Shadow Dancer. How are you? It's good to see you here. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on Monday Night Live. I'm glad to see that you're here. It looks like people are showing up, so I'm just going to wait a few more minutes, allow some other people to jump on. And tonight we're going to be talking about the continuation, in a continuation of the last video that I made, which was understanding how narcissism takes you down to ground zero, and this is a huge struggle coming out of narcissistic abuse. It's really what the struggle is. When you get out of the abusive relationship, the struggle that you face is there's three main struggles. The first one in that video that I talked about was ground zero. The second one that we're going to talk about tonight is what I like to call delegation of narcissistic abuse. It's the delegation of the narcissist that we hang on to. That's what we're going to be talking about. There's everybody coming on in. Thank you. I'm going to do a quick hi to everybody. Hey, Shine Bright. How are you? Cynthia Ann. How are you? Susan. Hi. It's good to see all of you. I'm happy that you guys are here. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. And I'm looking forward to tonight's live stream. So let's go ahead and get right started in. I'm going to go ahead and go over just some of the basic stuff that we always go through. This is the Royal We Live. For those of you who are new to the Royal We, I want to thank you and welcome you. The Royal We Live every Monday night is supported by Patreon, the Patreon members, and I encourage you to check out the Patreon. It's Join the Royal We on Patreon. And the idea and the goal is to be able to support the Royal We Live effort and ultimately go live every single night. It's something that I tried in the past, but it becomes too exhausting to be able to do it on my own, so your support is needed. And so visit the Patreon and consider supporting it. With 300 supporters, we'll go live every single night and have a place for people to find healing, to get their questions answered, to meet with you all, and to be able to call in every single night. How powerful of a thing would that be? And also allow the time to come up with great content for each individual night, to answer questions, all kinds of good stuff. So consider becoming a Patreon supporter. And if this is your first time on the Royal We Live, this is a community. Find your help. Consider calling in. Ask your questions. Don't be shy. We are here for you. You will see the Mod Squad. Mod Squad is the moderators of the Royal We. Taylor puts the dream in hashtag the dream team. Blue is here to link you up. Tanya gives the best virtual hugs on the internet. And D Doll is the queen of the one-liners. These are the moderators, and you will see them tonight. They are here to help you out. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started with tonight's episode. We're going to be talking about, and I do put the telephone number up there so that you can see the telephone number. Consider calling in. The phone line is open. You're welcome to contact and call in when you feel need be. Tonight, I also have some great questions that come in on the organic channel, the Royal We channel. Questions that some of them are silly, some of them are serious, but I want to go ahead and answer a lot of them for you because you're the community. Now, since you are the Royal We Live community, you are the family, you are the community members, I'm going to share with you what's coming up on the Royal We, what's coming up in the next video, the next organic video. I'm going back to back with the three big struggles, and these are the struggles that I've experienced in my life coming out of narcissistic abuse. I know that you're struggling with these things too. A lot of times people ask questions on the organic channels. How do you know what's going? How do you know that I'm being attacked in this way? And it's because we all share in this attack together. because there's three main things, and this is what I'm dealing with. I know a lot of you are. The last video hit really close to home. It was very personal for me. That's being shaken down to ground zero, having absolutely nothing because everything that you put your hopes and your dreams in is taken away from you. You build up these relationships. You build up what you think is family. You build up all this stuff, and it gets crumbled down due to the narcissistic abuse, and you you feeling broken. You're empty. You feel like you have nothing, no one, no family, no friends, because nobody understands you, and you're left to figure this out on your own, and that's ground zero. And in the video, it's called RK. Actually, there's a term for this particular struggle. The struggle is actually biblical. Okay, I took it out of Philippians. There's three main struggles that one of the followers of Christ talks about in the New Testament of the Bible. So this is ancient thinking, and they were doing the best they could to help people understand what it is that we struggle against. And the first of the three main things is the Greek word arche that I looked up. Arche means we struggle against this power that is oppressive that comes upon us, and it causes us to start over. No, it's constantly kind of being at a beginning point, an initial point. And this is where we find ourselves coming out of narcissistic abuse. Why is it such a struggle? Well, because we don't want to start over. We like to kind of carry on in our comfort zone, right? We build up these families and we build up these relationships, and we want to stay in that. And having all that ripped away and starting over is a terrifying thought. It's a terrifying thing to think that you have nothing. It's terrifying to think that you have to work and build something brand new from scratch, from the dirt. It's terrifying. It's scary. And you can't help but look back and think of what was and what could have been. And a lot of times when you're starting over, it seems like it's easier just to go back and try to fix those problems, right? This is fixing the narcissist, just so that you can get back and have what you once had instead of building something new, right? And so that's why that video, being at ground zero and finding your co-creator as being the Most High, is important. So the next video that's going to be coming out this week is the follow-up to that. It's going to be just as powerful. I'm working on it right now, and this video is going to be on the second struggle of why it's so hard to start over. And this is something that a lot of people have been asking about a lot of time. In fact, one of the questions tonight that I'm going to share with you is if only the question is, I keep beating myself up. If only I can get these thoughts out of my mind that I can't do it, that I beat myself up, and it makes it hard to move forward. And that's absolutely correct. And that's the truth for all of us. It's the truth for me. It's the truth for all of you. And it's the struggle against the delegated authority over our life. Now, there is a Greek word for this, and it's in the same scripture, and it follows the struggle of arche. And I'm going to go ahead and bring it up here. The Greek word is exousia. Exousia. Say that with me. Exousia. Now, what the Greek word indicates and what it means is influence. The Greek definition of and this is found in Philippians, right? This is what we struggle. We don't struggle against flesh and blood, but we struggle against arche. We struggle against exousia, okay? Influence, out from, delegated empowerment, authorization. So what we're struggling against is the power of the delegation of the toxic negative influences. And so this is going to be a powerful video that's about to come out this week. So watch out for this one. And what is delegation? Delegation is something that we can't avoid in life. We are all delegated. If you have a job, you understand delegation. But delegation exists beyond even jobs, right? It exists in families, in friendships. Everybody is delegated to a specific role and a specific function. Delegation is key. Delegation is something that is important, okay? And, but delegation has to be something that is understood in the context of how important each delegated role is. This is what creates a good team. This is what creates a powerful family. This is what creates a great job. The greatest companies in the world understand that even the person who's delegated to take the trash out deserves to be treated good, paid fairly, paid with equality, gets all the same bonuses, gets invited to all the same parties and potlucks and whatever they do. Because the position is not the issue. It's the delegation, and it's the agreement that you are doing something that is valuable to the company. No matter if you're taking the trash out, no matter what it is you're doing, you're of value because you're helping the collective whole. The company is, imagine a company that you work for as being one body. And each part of that company functions to make the whole body function, okay? And so this is where delegation is powerful, because delegation is what allows people to do their roles, and if they are doing good at their roles, and if they're content in doing their roles, then the whole body will function fantastic. If there's equality and fairness, then the whole body succeeds. This is true for relationships. Your relationships, there are spoken and unspoken delegations. If you're married, the wife has delegated responsibilities. The husband has delegated responsibilities. Many of them are spoken agreements. Many of them are unspoken agreements. They just are. The wife fulfills wifely duties. The husband fulfills husbandly duties. Okay? These are delegated roles. And they're to be respected and understood that none is better than the other. It's equality, right? And so what happens in narcissistic abuse is they understand the importance of delegation. They understand the importance of delegation. They understand that delegation needs to take place, that so-and-so needs to be told what to do, and they understand that part of it. But what they don't understand, where narcissists fail to understand delegation, this is why their relationships fail, is they fail to know the value of the delegated responsibilities. They fail to understand the importance of the other person in making the whole picture and making the body successful. Okay? This is where narcissists fail. They are looking at it as they're the top only and everything else is beneath. Okay? And not only that, but then they start to act and take on the parts and degrade and demean and devalue, smear, gossip, and try to take the other person's likeness and use it as their own. And I use this analogy in the video coming up, but it's almost as if on your body, if your hands were to suddenly not like the feet anymore, and then your hands were to tell your feet you're not needed, you don't do a good job, you're toxic, you're crazy, and blah blah blah, and you're no good, and you're ignorant, and then the hands would then try to take over the feet's responsibility and start doing all the walking. Okay? How silly is that the hands would try and take over for the feet? Even though the feet are fully functioning, the hands just want to do all the walking. They want to take over because they want all the credit. This is what narcissists do. This is the mindset of narcissism, that there's no need for the feet, right? They just want they want their hands to do it all, okay? What does this have to do with delegation? So now that we understand the importance of delegation, right, that there's a function for everything, and as long as every delegated role is treated fairly, it's all good. So what does this have to do with exousia? What are we fighting against? Well, delegated empowerment or authorization, there's power behind words, and what we struggle against is the power that's behind the delegation of the narcissistically abusive relationship. So narcissists spend an awful lot of time demeaning you, devaluing you, telling you that you're not good. Again, imagine you're those feet, and you're being told by the hands you're not needed. Stop walking. The feet stop walking. Okay. And the longer you stay in these abusive relationships, the longer you stay attached to the narcissist, the more you take on this negative delegation that you're not working right, that you're not fulfilling anything good, that you're not doing anything right, that you're crazy, toxic, stupid, whatever the narcissist labeled you as. So the longer you stay engaged and try to fight it and this and that, the longer you're in it and you don't go no contact, you start to take on this delegated role. That maybe I'm not good. And listen, you could do all the psychobabble you want to. You could tell yourself 5 times a day, I'm good, I'm strong, I'm amazing. But still, deep down, seared into your subconscious mind is that delegation of the toxic narcissist, because in the narcissist world, you have been delegated. You've been delegated as the problem maker. You've been delegated as weak. You've been delegated as judgmental. You've been delegated as... And what you have to understand is that when you're engaged in a narcissist, you are in their world. They're not in yours. They seduced you off your path, and you were visiting their world. And in their world, this is who you are. That's your delegated role. And so when you first break free and get out of that narcissistic world, it's very hard for you to shake that delegation of being toxic, judgmental, mean, no good, all the stuff. And this is something you struggle. It becomes a ruler over your life. The ancient Greek word, exousia. It becomes an influence, a delegated empowerment over your life that's taken over your mind. It's suppressing your spirit. It's demonic. It's staying with you, right? This is something we struggle against. How do you stop? And I'm giving away, like I said, I love you guys. You're the community, so you can, spoiler alert. But visually in the organic video, I hope to do it justice and visually make it something good to understand, for people to understand, especially for those who aren't a part of this live community. But the way to get out of it is to simply understand that you're no longer delegated once you leave that position. Okay? Let's say somebody's hired to be a trash person, maintenance crew at a company. When they're in the company's world, so long as they are accepting the payment of the company, they are delegated to do whatever their responsibility is. But if that person quits that job, are they still the trash collector? No, they left. Right? If somebody's in a toxic, narcissistically abusive family, and they've been delegated in that world, they've been delegated as the black sheep. If they leave that family, are they still the delegated black sheep? No, they left. They no longer have to fulfill those functions. Somebody else is going to have to fill that function, just like somebody else is going to have to become the trash collector or maintenance person at that job. Somebody else is going to have to fill the role of being the black sheep of the family. Do you follow me on that? And I'm not going to give you too much. I'm going to save a little bit for the video on the Royal We channel that's coming out this week. I want you to wait and watch it because there's more of a powerful ending to it. But that's the premise of what you need to know, is that you get to leave. Just like if you are leaving and walking off of a job, you're no longer delegated. You no longer have to show up. You no longer have to fulfill the role that you were delegated to do. Same in toxic relationships. If you walk away, but it really means you walk away. Listen, if you walk away from a job, are you going to go and hang out? No. You're going to start looking for something new to do. And this is what needs to happen in these toxic, abusive relationships. When you walk away, you have to walk away in that bittersweet mentality. You're leaving a job. You're leaving that delegated role. You're no longer going to be a part of a body that's calling you toxic, that's calling you judgmental, that's calling you selfish, that's calling you whatever the names they're calling you. You're no longer that. You're no longer fulfilling that role. You're no longer under that delegation. Okay? But understand that this is why it's so hard to move forward. This is why it's hard to start building from ground zero. It's because you're still thinking, possibly, you're still under that delegation of I can't do it. I don't have the tools. I don't have the resources. I'm not good enough. I'm crazy. I'm selfish. I'm judgmental. I can't do it, because you're underneath that delegation. You're still seeing yourself underneath that role that you were in the abusive relationship. Okay? You got to stop seeing that. You got to change that mindset. That's what we are talking about. And I want to thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble on. And the telephone line is open. And looking forward to hearing you guys call in. And if you do not call in, that's okay. Right now, I do have some questions that are prepared. I want to go ahead and go through a segment that I would like to do more often now, and that is email questions. Not only email questions, but just questions off of the channel. So I have pulled questions off of the channel, and I'm going to go ahead and go through some of those. I hope that you all are having a fantastic night. So let's go ahead and get into some of the questions that I've gotten while you guys are thinking about calling in tonight. And I do get a lot of questions. Like I said, some are good, some are silly. All of them deserve to be acknowledged and read. So I didn't realize I was out of frame there. Let me fix that camera. There we go. All right. So let's get into some of these questions here. And I hope that you are having a great night. Here we go. This was an interesting statement that I came across on one of my videos, identity theft. And I'm going to go ahead and read this, and we'll chat about it. It says, narcissism doesn't exist. This is how the comment starts off. If so, then Jesus Christ himself would be the biggest narcissist of them all. Already we can see where this person's coming from, which is really weird because he's using, and this is typical of narcissists. Narcissists will use faith-based people as tools, as weapons to argue in a very malicious way. But we're gonna address this. That's fine. Narcissism doesn't exist. If so, then Jesus Christ himself would be the biggest narcissist of them all. He pretty much made people give up their lives and follow him through the Spirit. I'm going to address just that sentence right there, first and foremost. He pretty much made people give up their lives and follow him through the Spirit. This is a narcissistic tendency right here to play victim. If you listen to what he's saying, he pretty much made people give up their lives and follow him through the Spirit. It's as if he's pointing outward at this man called Jesus the Christ, pointing at him, saying, he's pretty much making people do this, right? So let's address this right away. Jesus didn't make anybody do anything. Anybody who knows anything about the scriptures, knows anything about God, knows anything about biblical references, knows that the person who was known as the Christ did not make anybody do anything. He simply offered up the way. And he said, if you have ears to hear, listen. For those of you who have eyes to see, watch. And he offered up the ability. He offered us the opportunity to follow. He didn't make anybody do anything. He didn't grab and twist anybody's arm. And so this is a first thing right off the bat. I gotta tell this person, be careful with how you're pointing out, especially at using biblical references. You want to point out in this blaming way. This Jesus person made people do this and made people do that and blah, blah, blah. And we're victimized, right? This is this narcissistic tendency. So he continues on. I think narcissism is a word people made up because they don't want to give up this false identity they made for themselves. This is weird. This is where it gets weird. And narcissists also have a tendency, it's called word salad. And there's other teachers on YouTube who talk about this. Word salad is when things stop making sense. It's just a jumbled up mess of words. And it kind of twists. And I'm sure when you deal with narcissists, you know what we're talking about. They call it word salad because it's a great metaphor. You're standing there reading someone's email or text message to you, or you're in a conversation with the narcissist and you're like, what is going on? It's like words just being tossed up in the air like a salad, constantly tossing and turning. Every leaf is turning and you have no clue what you're listening to anymore. You have no clue what you're even looking at. And this is where this is about to go right now. I think narcissism is a word people made up because they don't want to give up this false identity they made for themselves. Die and be born again in Christ. Okay, this is where they're now going back to. The same biblical reference that was once being attacked and blamed is now being brought into, you should do this, die and be born to Christ, right? Really weird. See how they go back and forth? The word salad. First, they're acting as though, this Christ victimized people. Now they're saying, this is what you ought to do, right? Really weird. die and be born again in Christ, making their will his. And then he goes on to say, Jesus Christ was a mirror. And this is why I don't understand what he's saying. Jesus Christ was a mirror. You're being duped. You're the one with a made-up identity. Give it up and become one in Christ. And this is that narcissistic forcefulness. You this, you that. You're the one that's being duped, and you're the one with a made-up identity, and you're this and you're that, and give it up. Give it up. Stop. And I can almost hear it. I can almost hear the aggression and the hostility. Give it up. Stop making YouTube videos. Stop talking. Don't do this. Blah, 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 blah. And then word salad, just tossing up all kinds of weird stuff. Give it up. Be one in Christ, right? And then that's just how I perceive. That's how the message seems to come across. Very weird how it goes back and forth. There's kind of an understanding of Christianity, but kind of not. Definitely not. I'm going to go ahead and take a call from Pennsylvania. You're live on the Royal We.
Yes. Hey, I'm a little behind here. Sorry about that. Hold on, give me a second. I got you Chrome on my TV. I'm a little behind. So how you doing, Tony Silva?
Oh, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I was just I'm a little behind the broadcast here, and I was just going to try to reference or address the idea of the word you're talking about from one of your what was that question that you had?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, when you were speaking about that, hold on a second. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Give me a moment. I need to turn it down. Turn down. I'm sorry. I have you on the backdrop here. Give me a moment. I'm a little ill prepared.
Okay. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hold on. I'm technology, I tell you. Hold on. I'm on a lot of source right now. I got to log off and turn it down so at least I can. Give me a second here.
Hey, why don't
okay, I'm good now. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. I was going to say, you're welcome to call back. It's not a problem.
Oh, well, I got it straightened out. I was behind on the Chromecasting, so basically I'm hearing echo of myself talking while I'm talking to you. It was kind of distracting to me.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
We were talking about the word salad, or I like to call it mental gymnastics.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it is especially when you're reading about that person who was basically walking contradiction. First, being accusatory about Jesus, and then trying to use Jesus as their defense for what they were talking about. You know,
right?
I mean,
they put Jesus,
by the way,
and this is how narcissists operate. They put Jesus down, but then they also tell you that you need to be humble and be more like Jesus. So it's really, really, I don't understand it. This is the mindset of narcissism that is beyond me, and that's why word salad is so. It's such a good analogy because it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo that doesn't make sense.
I concur. And my personal experience, by the way, 3 weeks removed, no contact, and pretty much for the most part, the peace that I desire living in my life is starting to return. I mean, it's still, still a process, still recovery. Yet, I mean, in the midst of that, harken back to these occasions of my own experience, like with the mental gymnastics word salad, where I don't know if I've ever said, I don't know what you're talking about. As often I said to this person, who I should have never been involved with. I said it often because they would just go on these delusional rants like this when they were in their rages, and I'm like, I'm not talking about that. I'm not even talking about that. What are you talking about? Like, and I try to try to offer up a viewpoint, and they totally miss the target. And I would say things like it would prompt me to say things like, "What are you talking about? That's not what I'm talking about. You're missing the point." And then somehow I was always wrong. It's an experience that I'm going to learn and take with me. I'm never going to do this again. And you know what? At this moment, I'm actually sitting across from my mother. She's also been very grateful. She actually I actually typed for her on the live chat. She is not technologically sound, but she's grateful for this because she was prayerful because she could see what was happening. Yet, all she can do is pray. The prayers of a righteous avail much. And
good. That's good. Good for you, Mom.
Brought revolution. She said, "Good for you, Mom." Yeah. However, I will say when it comes to, I've alluded to you in previous conversations before on the call-in that again, it was of the romantic inclination or whatever. It was romantic, my experience, and I will, again, it's called taking ownership. It's called taking responsibility.
Right.
The Bible says that where Jesus is talking to, is like you've heard it said that you should not covet your neighbor's wife, or you should not commit adultery. Verily, I say to you, if you've committed it, if you thought of it in your mind, you committed it in your heart. Well, the Bible is true. He is truth, and that's what I did. I have to admit that. Okay. Again, it's better to own it, to admit it, and because I no longer am in it, I am forgiven of it.
Right.
That's what I did. That I was so seduced, so swept off my feet, and so ill prepared because of the traumatic instances that were happening previous to meeting her, that I was just ill-equipped, guard down, unaware.
Well, it sounds to me like you're definitely on the right path to recovery and to heal from this, right? I hear a genuine concern and a genuine acknowledgement on your part that what took place was not right, and that you understand that there's consequences involved, and that you are in a place where you are going through these consequences, and so
I have to own it.
And there is no judgment for that, right? There's no judgment for that. You're not judged here for that, okay? So continue on your healing journey. Continue on your healing journey. Continue
that is my goal.
Yeah, continue to take those steps and continue to watch yourself. And I strongly encourage you to read Proverbs. I strongly encourage you to read in fact, matter of fact, I'm doing Proverbs, and I've been going through Proverbs. There's my word salad right there, everybody. Now, I've been going through Proverbs on the Patreon. So for those of you who are Patreon members, watch Patreon. I try to put a proverb reading, a devotion on a daily basis, and I want to do it every single day, and because it's powerful. Lots of rules, lots of things are said in there that will speak right into your situation. So I encourage you to do that. All right, Antonio?
Well, I appreciate that suggestion. I would just end then as we part the company and part the conversation from Proverbs. Something I did not do that I'm going to do. I should be guarding my heart, for that is where the issues flow from, and I didn't do that. That's why I am paying the consequences for what I did.
Yes.
What I allowed to happen.
Yes.
So,
all right,
Kevin, I appreciate it. I thank you very much. Bless yous and all the Mod Squad and the Royal We. Take care.
All righty. Have a great
good night.
Bye. All right. Thank you so much, Antonio, for calling in and for sharing that. It is so important that we understand that, and this is something that is true for all of us. Listen, no one's perfect. We're not perfect. My wall's fallen down. That's a good example of how imperfect. You are seeing the Royal We right now, behind the scenes, the imperfections as my wall falls. I've been having a hard time with my studio wall here. These foam things, they do not want to stay on the wall. So that's embarrassing, but it happens. But listen, the Royal We is not about perfection. We are not perfect. That's not that no one walking on this earth is perfect, and we understand that. And so part of healing from narcissistic abuse is knowing your role, knowing your delegated role in the abusive relationship. Where did you allow yourself to go in, right? How did you allow yourself to get in and become delegated in this situation, become delegated as somebody who has to be, and here's what you were delegated as, ultimately, somebody who has to be defensive because you're put in a position to constantly defend yourself. Somebody who is back and forth because you yourself start to become back and forth in the relationship, right? So these are all the things that you accept when you stay and you play these games with these narcissists. And so at some point, when you're in your healing journey, you're going to realize, oh my goodness, man, what was I doing? I got stuck in that world. I took on that delegation in their world. And I stayed in their world under that delegation. This is a part of being able to acknowledge, man, I had no business being in that relationship. I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have been around this and that. I shouldn't have done this and that. I shouldn't have been a part of that. Right. And so when I hear in Antonio, what he was saying is he's taken it that step further and acknowledging, oh my gosh, this is what I did. I was way out of line. I was way off base. I was way out in left field. I was on a different planet. I was seduced into something that it should never be seduced into. It goes against everything that I know is true and everything I believe. And now I'm suffering the consequences, and I realize that's part of the healing journey, is suffering those consequences, right? And it just goes to show that we are people. We do make these mistakes, but understanding that, healing from these things is part of what the Royal We wants to help you to understand. And this is what we're all on the journey to do. And let's go ahead and we got the telephone number up there. Let's take on a new email question while we're waiting for another telephone call. Phone line is open. And let's go ahead. Here we go. What if the narcissist is my boss? Well, it's a good question. It's a typical question. And I put on my response immediately to the question was, there are other jobs. And again, this goes back to the delegation, right? If you're dealing with a narcissistic boss who is bullying you, you don't have any reason to stay, right? Because that is an abandonment of the agreement. When you go on and you accept a job, you are accepting an agreement that you're going to be treated fairly. In exchange, you're going to work hard. That's an unspoken agreement. If one or more of that parts isn't fulfilled, then you've been abandoned. It's not you. You quitting the job isn't abandoning the job. You were already abandoned as an individual. And so now you should just leave. I remember a long time ago when I was in the insurance industry, and I was talking to a guy. He was a friend of mine at the time that I worked with, and he was really struggling. He was thinking about quitting, and he was saying, and in the insurance industry, it was pretty brutal. A lot of stuff. I did see people get walked out when they were fired. They would literally have an officer or a sheriff show up and escort the person out, and I've seen that. I've witnessed it happen, and I remember talking to a friend of mine who was really struggling because insurance is it's a stressful job, and he's like, I'm thinking about just quitting. I'm just going to quit. I'm going to walk out. I'm not going to do no 2-week notice or anything like that. And I'm like, really? That's interesting. And he goes, why? What for? If I'm not being treated right, why do I owe them a favor? And then he asked me. He said, listen, when they cut someone, when they fire someone, do they give them a 2-week notice? Does a company say, we're going to fire you in 2 weeks? No. If they fire you, they usually just, and that's what I told him. I said, no, they have a sheriff show up and escort him out. And he goes, yeah. And so, if you have been abandoned because narcissism has taken over in the workplace, has infiltrated your boss, and you have been abandoned as an individual, and you're no longer being treated fairly, you're being abused in any kind of capacity, name-calling, demeaning, devaluing stuff, that where you leave the job and you feel sick to your stomach, where you wake up in the morning and you can't stand the thought of going to work, right? And you're carrying your job home with you daily because it's that bad. You've already been abandoned. You've been abandoned by your boss and your coworkers. So leave. Just leave. There are other jobs out there. There's other ways to make money out there. Okay? Now, one of the things we have to break, and I had to break this too, is there's, oh my gosh, it's a good job, and jobs will really fool you into that. Part of jobs and corporations, what they do now is, they have all their rallies and get-togethers and clap their hands and stomp their feet together and say, you're part of an amazing company. Did you know we broke 1 million in sales, and it's all because of you guys? And so they do a good job. And this company was awarded the Forbes 500 most popular sought-after companies to work for. Congratulations, everybody. You're working for a great company, and you'll never find another one like this. So keep up the good work. What you got to know is that's just all part of the kind of a brainwashing, and so to speak, because you absolutely can find another way to make money. Okay, so if you're being treated unfairly, and I mean really being treated unfairly, find another job. There's plenty of them out there. There's other ways to make money. You don't have to put up with that. Don't wait till it's too late. Don't let it go further down, because narcissistic abuse is progressive. It will get worse. All right? The bosses will get worse at it. Coworkers will get worse. It can get very bad. All right? And let's see, we got another question. Since no one's calling in, let's see what else we got here. All right. This question came in. Says the question is, why are there so many narcissistic people out there and nowhere to go now? It's a gray area. This is a great question. That was my response too. That's a great question, right? For the ladies, that's on the video that I made for the ladies talking about dating. So I'm under the impression that this particular question came in from somebody who is curious to know about dating. Yes, we live in a narcissistic world. Okay, this is the truth. There's many narcissistic people out there. 1 in every 2 people. I do the statistics in the course that I offer. 1 in every 4 people are being abused right now as we speak. As you and I are watching this, 1 in every 4 people, 1 in every 4 women are being abused physically. All right, 1 in every 2 are experiencing some form of mental emotional abuse. 1 in every 2 people. So the way I paint, I give this image in the course that I have available is that I look at the ancient text of the Bible, and it talks in different places about how things are kind of split. It's a 50-50 split. And the best way I could describe this is when in the ancient text where Jesus was talking about a parable of a farmer, and he sowed seed in his farm, and he grew. Hang on one second, caller from Arkansas. I'm gonna finish my thought here, and I'll be right with you. So please don't hang up. But the farmer had sown a good seed, and in the nighttime, a wicked one in this parable came in and sowed weeds and tares. Tares are nasty weeds, and when they started to grow, in the parable, Jesus said the tares started choking out the wheat that the farmer had sown. Start choking them out. Much like what's happening in yours and mine's life. We meet these narcissistically abusive people, these weeds, and we're getting choked out in our life, okay? And so this was acknowledged by Jesus in this parable. And the farmer's servants ran to him and said, farmer, listen, look at all the weeds and the tares. Do you want us to go and get rid of them? They're choking out the wheat. And the farmer's response was no. Let them grow together. Follow me on this. Let them grow together. Because at the end, when they're fully grown and fully developed, then we will go and separate the weeds and tares from the good wheat. Because if we rush in there right now, when they're infants and start, infant wheat, and start tearing out all the tares and weeds, we could uproot the good wheat with it and destroy it. So do you follow me on that? So just because we are in a world where there is narcissistically abusive people, there are tares and there are weeds that are trying to choke us out everywhere we go. They are here on this earth as part of something we are to grow with, not with intimately, not with together, not with sharing our life, but to bump up against, to grow, to feel that pain, to be choked out a little bit by it. And then when we're fully developed, then in the story, we'll be separated. And I believe this right now, this Royal We effort is part of that separation process. We're learning through strength, together as a community, with the moderators, and with all of you out there, we're learning to stand up straight. We're learning that there's weeds and tares out there, and we're learning to grow up straight, acknowledging that they're there. There's a weed and a tear for every strong piece of wheat. So for every one of you, there is one person who is wicked. This is what I'm saying. There's a narcissist for every one of you. And your only responsibility is not to try and kill them right now, but to grow up tall, knowing that they're there, and don't let them choke you out. Just hold on tight until the end. Hope that makes sense. Let me take this caller who's been patiently waiting from Arkansas. You're live on the Royal We.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I really appreciate it. And thank you for your videos. They have helped me tremendously in my healing.
Thank you. Thank you for calling, and thank you for being here tonight.
And I was calling, just wanted to say, like, if you or any of the listeners could, like, relate to this, or, like, I'm 26. My dad was a narcissist. Like, he was basically, you call him a malignant narcissist. Highly controlling. Like, when I grew, going through high school and stuff, I was, if you disagree with him, I wasn't allowed to eat or that kind of stuff. So, like, growing up, I was in the South, fortunately, so everybody had a gun and that kind of stuff. But when I disagree with him, I would have to go and I would have to get a gun and sneak out of the house. I would go out in the woods, and I would have to live in the woods, for a week or so, trying to hunt, and I would have to live off of whatever I could get. But it was just a constant state of control that I finally was able to go no contact this year. But because of that, he actually stole my vehicle, and the law actually supported that. So I'm just been trying to deal with that, just trying to deal with the gaslighting, and basically just healing financially and spiritually right now.
So at 26 years old, right, and here's the thing, you being put outside of the house and having to hunt and all this for your own food, I'll be honest with you, you're better equipped than most people out there to go out on your own and to live a great life. You know how to hunt, you know how to fish, you know how to be a man, how to gather and how to collect and how to survive. So that's what that experience taught you. But what wasn't taught you through the control and through the manipulation is that at some point you are supposed to separate from your dad and mom. In fact, it's written. It's part of it. It's not even a question. It's a command. Therefore, a man shall leave the mother and father. It's not a maybe they'll want to leave. It's not, well, they might want to think about leaving unless they're really comfortable. No, it's therefore a man shall leave the mother and father. That shall that's a command. It's a word of authority. It's a must. There's a difference between the word may, you may do something, and you must do something, right? Is what when people are sentenced in court. You must serve this sentence. Not you may serve this sentence if you want. No, you must. No questions about it. So, I would just encourage you to just pray on that. You're 26. You're a man. This is now your time. This is your life. This is when you need to go out. Use your tools to gather for your own life. Pursue your own family, your own wife, but also at the same time heal. Heal from what you feel like you did not get from your father, mother, because that's not going to happen, right? That's where your healing needs to take place. But this is the time.
If you would just pray for me on that. It's like, I agree. And I do want to leave them emotionally and everything. I've left them geographically when I was 18. The reason that I had to hunt and I had to do all that, I was saying that anytime I disagree with him, it was I would have to basically I had to sneak out of the house and hunt and stay out in the woods for a week. Whenever I did that, it started when I was 14 when I gave my life to Christ. Mm-hmm. And the Lord called me to preach. So when I got a driver's license, I started to preach, and I quit pastoring for a couple of years. Became a pastor. I'm about to graduate my PhD in a semester or two, but I've been trying to. My goal is I want to redeem my family. I don't want my children, my wife that I don't have yet, but whenever I get them, I don't ever want them to know the pain and the trials that I had to go through. I want to put that in the past,
Good.
and I want to redeem my family.
Good.
And I want to learn from it, and that's where I'm at.
Good goals. Good goals. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for taking the call.
All right, right on. Have a good night.
Thanks.
We're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. It's almost 10 o'clock. We've been going for almost an hour. I do appreciate the telephone calls tonight. And I'm going to go through one more email question here, and then we will call it a night. Let's see. What else do I got here as far as the email questions go? Here we go. We've talked about we've had some good email questions here, and I've got this one last one I will share. This question came in on one of the videos. It says, this is actually from the last video. This is a part of why it's so important I'm doing this next video this week. But after this last video of being at ground zero, rebuilding your life, arcade, starting over, the starting point, this is what you wrestle with. Question came in and says, I've been rebuilding for 5 years now. It's a long time. I get that. I've been rebuilding for 5 years now. I still struggle with the I am blank, fill in the blank. If only I could take off the labels and quit programming my mind for failure. That's a powerful, powerful question. And that's exactly why it's important to continue on and go to the next topic, which is exuse. Did I say that right? Exusa. Exusa, the Greek word. I'm tired now, so I don't know if I'm saying it right anymore, but that's the next thing that we wrestle against, right? That's exactly what we wrestle against. And that is that delegation. So long as you are in the narcissist world, you live under their delegation, the authority of the delegation they place on you. And it's time to get out from under that delegation. And when you get out from under that delegation, you realize that you no longer have to fulfill that delegated responsibility. It's just like leaving a job. If you are doing a job and you leave and walk off that job, you do not show up and do that job anymore. Someone else must do it. If you are the family black sheep and you get up and you leave that family, you are no longer the black sheep. Somebody else must fill that role. Okay? It's powerful. Delegation is a powerful thing. And now you wrestle with understanding and trying to correct that negative delegation, which is what it is. And so in that next video coming up this week, we're going to talk about how to do that. So be watching on the Royal We channel, the organic Royal We channel. For those of you who don't know what organic means, it just means the original Royal We channel. This is the live channel. The Royal We, it has its original channel, which is the place for uploaded videos, creative content. It's where I enjoy putting creativity, visuals, and music to the message. And so be looking this week for that video. With that, thank you so much for being here, everybody. And thank you, Blue. Thank you, Blue. Thank you, D-Doll. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Tanya. I think some of you have already signed out tonight to go to bed because it is late. I'm so grateful for all of you. Bacon. Did I just read that right, Blue? Are you having some bacon, Blue? You're having some bacon. Thank you so much for posting everything, Blue. Oh, dude. Okay, I get the message. Here we go. I've really got to do some more music here. But for right now, here we go. Thank you, everybody, so much. Thank you, Tanya, for everything you do. Thank you, Blue, for everything you do. Thank you. Hi, Shelly. How are you? For those of you who are considering to support the Royal We Live, please do so on Patreon. Again, 300 Patreon members, and we will do this every single night. And that is the dream that's on my heart. And so, but that's what it's going to take to get there. And as tempted as I am to just go ahead and say I'll just start doing it every night right now, I just can't do that. I have to hold out and allow in God's timing for this to build and for it to get to that place where it is supported in that way and carried, and it's just going, and it's a community, and everybody's a part of that, right? Again, it's about the measure, and the measure of the Royal We is you. You're the foundation of it. So how high and how far the road we goes depends on the measure. And I'm still learning myself exactly what this means, but I believe with all my heart that the measure is you, right? And so thank you all for being here tonight. And we will see you next Monday night on the Royal We Live right here, 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And be looking out for the organic video upload this week on the delegation, the struggle with the delegation of narcissistic abuse, of narcissism. Good night, everybody.